Once again, thank you very much for taking the time to join us today for this webinar that's being put on by KM2 Solutions, where we're going to discuss CX technology going into 2021. Now, for those of you who have not taken part in our series of webinars that we've been undertaking over the course of the past few months, you're very welcome. We're delighted to have you. My name is Peter Ryan. I am the moderator for today's event, and I'm delighted to be joined by a couple of experts from KM2 Solutions when it comes to discussing not just the technologies themselves, but the intersection between technology, business, and customer experience. With that in mind, I'm going to introduce my panelists and ask them to just talk a little bit about themselves, who they are, what they do, and some opening thoughts in terms of 2021 and beyond. We're going to start with Lisa Furlow. Lisa, great to have you here.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Furlow. I'm here at KM2. I'm the Vice President of Performance Optimization. My primary responsibilities with the organization is to work closely with our operations team and to deliver a winning product for both our company and our clients. I recently led a team of internal experts to define and establish what our best practices were for our work from home operation. And I also am responsible for implementing and managing a few of our key accounts where I ensure long-term business relationships. I've been in the BPO business for about 25 years, but I've only been with KM2 for about a year and a half now.
Great stuff. Thanks very much, Lisa. It's great to have you here and look forward to your insights over the course of our discussion today.
Thank you.
Ray Valentine, delighted to see you as well joining our panel. It's exciting to have you. Can you tell us just a little bit about yourself before we kick off into the formal questions?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. My name is Ray Valentine. I'm the CTO at KM2. Been here for 12 years. Been in this industry for over 30, deploying call centers all around the world, India, Philippines, Canada, certainly the Caribbean and Latin America. Like most other CTOs and probably most of our guests on here, I've spent the last year trying to navigate the changes that COVID has brought with a work from home workforce. We're all familiar with Zoom now, and we're going to talk a little bit about how that change in dynamic with workforce has changed the way that we have to operate and communicate with people. So look forward to a lively discussion here.
Well, we look forward to it as well, Ray. And certainly, I think when we consider our two panelists, all our attendees will agree that with the mind share and experience that you both bring to the table, there's no question that we're going to be able to cover off on a lot of very interesting topics. And I think that that's a good point to start on. Lisa, I'd like to throw the baton to you as we begin our formal discussion today. And that poses the question going into 2021 from a KM2 solution standpoint. You know, obviously I've known the company for quite some time, and I'm aware of the great track record that KM2 Solutions has when it comes to developing great programs to ensure the best possible outcomes for consumers. Can you talk a little bit about going into 2021, how you see or how you envision KM2 Solutions using technology to really deliver on that promise?
Yeah, I mean, we use technology for pretty much every side of the business. So when it comes to the operations side, which is where I'm mostly comfortable with, and I work with directly with the team, is that we look at ways to help encourage and improve agent performance constantly. And with, you know, technology allowing us to have better reporting, allowing us to have real-time communication with our agents, agent development and all trainings. That's really the key areas that we work on, and that technology helps support us. It allows us to have decisive actions, and we can influence change very quickly. We also use technology to help change, help clients enforce change or make improvements and such. And it allows us to be able to communicate that to the clients very real time as well.
That's great. Thank you very much, Lisa. Now, Ray, from your perspective as a career technologist, where do you see that intersection between technology and customer experience in regards to making sure that the outcomes are developed in the best possible fashion to generate the best loyalties from the end user towards the enterprise?
Sure. People come to a BPO and it's kind of a risky proposition. You're giving your brand to these business partners, and the world has changed on how you communicate with people. We've all adapted applications and Siri and different ways to talk and engage with solutions. And our customers bring some kind of business problem to us, and we help engineer the appropriate solution or interact with the solutions that the clients have that meet the customer where they are. And we really extend that brand identity that the customers have developed into our organization. So it's finding that balance of meeting the customer where they are and adapting that to the call center experience that we can provide.
Now, the word adaptation, I think, is very important here because, as we know, it's like anything in life. There's no uniform nature in regards to one client to the next. There's no generic offering. So, Ray, sticking with you for a second, I'd really like to get a sense from you when you are onboarding a client, when you're going in and working with a new client with KM Squared Solutions, how do you adapt? How are you in a position to adapt to their operations from a technology standpoint to make sure that the integration and, quite frankly, the kickoff of a campaign and the delivery is going to be as seamless as possible?
Well, in this business, we never know from day to day what kind of new situation a customer is going to bring. Whether they've got in-house apps that they've developed, they've got some clients have highly sophisticated call flows. We've tried to adapt a very modular approach. So in all of the areas, data, voice, reporting, interactions, all of those things, to kind of have a modular plug-in open approach. And I think that's the way the industry has gone. We certainly see a lot of use of virtual desktops, Citrix, VMware, where clients are able to maintain controls. So the onboarding experience has changed, where technology used to be a long lead time kind of thing to get established when you're bringing in a new client. Now it's more plug and play, and more of the focus goes on the agent and people side and bringing a new customer on board.
That's really interesting. And Lisa, from your perspective, you've mentioned that you have been in the industry for nearly a quarter century now. You've been with KM Squared Solutions, I believe you said, about approximately a year and a half. I'd be interested to know the extent to which you've seen the priority about the seamless integration as a client begins to work with an outsourcer. How much more of a priority has that become over the years, and how do you see that evolving into 2021?
Oh yeah, it's changed so much over the years. It used to be a lead time of 30 and 45 days just to get the telco piece arranged. Now we're literally breaking it down into 6 categories where we're just, collaborating with the client to create a task list. We're engaging the proper people. We're putting everything together, but it's happening so real time and so quickly. We can bring clients up in 2 weeks now versus where it used to take a month or two, which is really something exciting because we can bring on new and develop new programs and new service offerings to exact same clients and bring it on very, very quickly for them. And I see that just improving as time goes on, for sure.
And I think it's interesting that we're talking about this element in regards to working with clients who are perhaps new to KM Squared Solutions, because that leads into another interesting topic, and that's the whole issue about how what I would call the proverbial BPO addressable market, or the size of the pie is getting bigger. One thing that I've picked up as an analyst over the course of the past probably 2 to 3 years is the fact that there's more organizations that perhaps have not used third-party CX delivery that are looking at doing so now. And there's a variety of reasons for this. It could be the ability to access the right talent and technologies. It could be the need to try and overcome budget challenges they're dealing with captive in-house centers. But Lisa, from what you've been doing at KM Squared Solutions, can you talk a little bit about working with FirstTime enterprises that are coming to the outsourcing table? What does that look like? How do you help them manage that journey from the integration standpoint and evolving and effectively building up that partnership around trust when it comes to driving the best outcomes using your technology platforms and any other facet you have at your behest?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all companies are different, right? So a new outsourcer, I probably have a different answer on this than Ray will, just because from my perspective, when I hear that it's a brand new organization and they never outsourced before, I get super excited about that because they're very open, they have a tendency to be very open to best practices, and they have a tendency to be like, okay, we can do, what can we do? They're constantly asking what's the next step. And they're very much so excited about it. A lot of times when you deal with organizations that have done outsourcing for many, many years, they're kind of set in their way quite a bit. And it's, a little bit more challenging to work around that, but they just have their exact same way they want to do things all the time. But yeah, I mean, it's opened up the world to everyone now with the technology, because anybody can outsource now. And it doesn't have to be down the street. It could be anywhere in the world that they can outsource, and it's extremely simple process these days with all this technology that we're dealing with. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a great answer. And Ray, before I get to your response to this, because as Lisa said, you probably would have a different angle on it. I just want to emphasize, if there's any questions that our audience members have, we would love to have you send them in. You can use the chat functionality or the Q&A functionality at the bottom of your screen. We want to keep this as interactive as we possibly can. But Ray, I'll throw it over to you to just get your thoughts on that whole issue about technology and what first-time clients of outsourcing might be looking for.
Sure. As Lisa said, that the kind of experienced customers and bigger organizations kind of have a framework that they make you deploy. And with these first-time groups, and sometimes their IT organizations aren't as mature, they're looking for some guidance there. So to have some predefined solutions that you can offer up, and really you're more of a consultant guiding the outsourcer through these steps that just aren't in their wheelhouse. They've put all of their energy into running their core business, and this remote connectivity, extending virtual desktops. Those are the areas that we do every day where, this industry, people are very strong in this. And so we can really provide that hand holding. I think the other area that we run into in an onboarding scenario, and this goes in some on the operational side as well, when they are going through this experience, they don't know what they don't know. So we'll get into conversations and really listening intently to the customer in kind of in between what they're saying to get at the root business issue that they're trying to solve. We often will ask a lot of probing questions that we'll get surprising reactions from new customers going, "Oh, I didn't know I could do that with this situation." So there's a lot of suggestions going forth to really press in a lot harder into the challenges that they're dealing with. So as Lisa said, with the newer folks, it's challenging and fun and exciting and never boring, that's for sure.
Very true.
Well, those are facets that I think we can all agree keep this job working in third-party contact center delivery interesting, and that's important. Now, one of the other interesting elements that I know has really popped up as a topic of discussion over the course of the past several months as we've dealt with the COVID-19 pandemic and the frankly, very big shifts in terms of how work is being done from a CX perspective, operationally and technologically, is the whole issue about employee management. And one of the things that I've heard from a lot of captive operators that are finding a great deal of frustration, and they're looking for alternatives in terms of how they go about managing their workforce, whether it's within a community or even across a country, is the application of technology to help augment the employee experience. And Ray, we'll stick with you for this one. Could you maybe kick us off talking a little bit about how technology can be used proactively to make sure that employee engagement and employee management is done in an optimal fashion from a contact center perspective?
Sure. So, and this has been magnified a lot with the work from home deployments that companies are dealing with. It's becoming increasingly important to get the employees engaged. And I think a lot of the approach over the years has been with individual point solutions that solve a particular issue, but things tend to be kind of disjointed. So having a comprehensive approach to get feedback, to get the agents connected, and also to really support the supervisors, those frontline managers that are interacting and really are the driving force behind performance. We really put a lot of focus this year on empowering those supervisors and measuring and giving them some guidance to standardize how they interact with people. We find that, it's when you're in the office, it's real easy to walk around and socialize and touch base with your agents, but doing that in a consistent basis when the workforce is deployed becomes much more challenging. And as you know, we're working in a very mixed environment now. Some agents are in, some are out. You're having that standard approach and creating metrics for all of these touch points and really structuring a systematic approach to that gives you guidance into what's going on here.
That's really interesting. And Lisa, from what you've been experiencing as you've been chatting with your existing clients as well as prospective ones, what type of solutions are they prioritizing, or what are they expecting from an outsourcer when it comes to providing an augmented level of employee engagement and using technology as the basis for it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, from the very beginning where we're going out and recruiting, our technology platform, we just launched a new platform that allows us to holistically have a view over the entire agent process, right? So we can see when they fill out the application, what their skill sets were. We're able to do all the interviewing process and doing all the testing. All of that is a very holistic view now. Whereas at some point it was kind of siloed a little bit, where everyone, HR had their time with the employee, the management team had their time, the trainer had their time. Now we're seeing it more as an overall with their performance from day one all the way through. And that actually allows us the opportunity to nurture their relationship with the organization and with the client. And it gives us the ability to be able to support them throughout their career with us.
Okay, I find this interesting because, Ray, you talked a lot about the need for comprehensive technology strategies. And I agree with you. I think in the past, it was very much done on a point-by-point solution, generated or encouraged by a particular need at that time, done on a tactical basis. But it strikes me that from the perspective of employee management, there's got to be a much more strategic, holistic view going into 2021 if an organization or if an outsourcer is going to compete effectively.
Sure. The biggest cost that we have as an organization, as a BPO, is labor, and the success that we provide to our customers is based on the quality, tenure, et cetera, of those agents. So having this holistic approach, drives these better outcomes because we have people that are engaged and excited about being at work. They're empowered to, they're supported by good coaching, good training. They're confident in what they're doing. Hence, they stay longer. The bane of the BPO world is attrition. And anything that you can do to impact that and keep, good qualified people active always produces better outcomes for the end customer. And that's what we're seeing through this holistic approach is happier employees, more predictable results.
Very true. Very true. Now, Lisa, I think that if someone was to ask for a synopsis of 2020 from a customer experience perspective, and they were to ask what was the overarching trend or the biggest story that you were looking back on as your review of the year, nobody would doubt that it has been this almost, and I like to use this expression, a Dunkirk-like shift into work from home. The fact that remote working has become very much an accepted mainstream practice. But I'd love to get a sense from you based on your experience in the industry and what you've witnessed over the course of the past 12 months or so. Going into 2021, what should clients expect from an outsourcer in terms of being able to facilitate this virtual working model using the right technologies?
Sure. I mean, I think our clients always want to have a brick and mortar solution, right? They want the people to be together. They want the training to be, at the same site, people touching and feeling things. But with this whole social distancing situation we're dealing with, we're really working in a work from home or a separation of people, I guess is a better way to look at it, situation as a whole. I think the clients are just really nervous about us keeping everyone in touch, not losing our workforce because they feel that they're isolated or they're not engaging, even on quality. Quality is a big one where our best practices as a brick and mortar, just everyone in the same site has really changed because we can't do the side by sides. We can't do the one-on-one face-to-face coachings like we used to do. So now, it's more communication channels. How can we communicate with the agents? What's the best way to communicate with our people? Is it chat? Is it web? Is it a web video? Is it email? How is it that we're communicating and how often are we communicating? That's a huge one right now. Our ratios of agent to supervisor has changed significantly because we noticed that a supervisor cannot manage as many people working from a work from home situation, for multiple reasons. They just need that little bit more warm and fuzzy one-on-one touch point with their management team. We've created and implemented support desk solutions where they can't get up and walk up to a supervisor and ask a question any longer, or they can't raise their hand and ask for that question to be answered anymore. So we've created these support desk solutions where they can make these phone calls and have that one-on-one interaction immediately. So, overall, those are the big things to me. When you say that, it's just really about communication and touching.
Great stuff. And Ray, before I get to you, because I'd love to get your thoughts from a technology perspective, I just want to reemphasize that we are very, very happy to take any questions that our audience members may have for the panel. We welcome the opportunity to receive them either using the chat functionality or the raise your hand functionality. We definitely want to try and find out what you're thinking about, what's on your mind, so that we can have two of the best minds in the business provide their thoughts for you. Ray, going back to this whole issue about work from home and the technology, can you tell me a little bit about what KM2 has been doing in terms of developing the right technology stack in order to make sure that operationally, from the standpoint of human resources, etc., that work from home is going to work as best as it possibly can for the end user and for the client?
Yeah, it really starts right at the beginning as you're vetting employees for work from home. That you've got the right person that can work in that kind of self-managed environment, that they've got the backbone network-wise to support this, the working environment at home. And interestingly enough, in our particular case, we moved a lot to a virtualized infrastructure over the last couple of years for a number of reasons, and that has really been the foundation for companies to deploy these work from home agents, where we try to keep the person's desktop and equipment as simple as possible, so that all of the control, security, so forth, is maintained in a centralized type of fashion. It allows us to spin people up quickly, keeps the solution stable. There's nothing more frustrating for an agent that's ready to work, is geared up, and has some clunky situation that doesn't work well. So good, reliable, sustainable environment is important. We've talked about some of this collaboration. You've got to be able to extend coaching and do it in a way that's meaningful to the agent. So, our particular case, we're a Microsoft Teams shop, and to be able to get that employee engaged, I'll tell you, we found out at the early on here, we did not think that maybe at the get-go that we could launch a new customer without any in-person training, recruiting, everything. And we've been successful with a number of clients, that ran into domestic challenges, had to turn up, new programs, and we've recruited people remotely, trained them remotely, and that they've been highly successful. So people are adapting well to this environment. As Lisa said, it takes more focused attention. Things that might only taken a couple of minutes to assist somebody with in the office takes a little bit longer remotely. But we're gaining more experience on that every day, as I'm sure everybody is in dealing with this.
Thanks very much for that, Ray. Lisa, one of the things that I've covered as an analyst that has excited me a lot the past few years has been the whole element of analytics and the ability to bring analytical information, to be able to mine information across a series of interactions and not even apply that information to a particular segment, but even down to the consumer. Can you talk a little bit about what organizations are doing with analytical platforms from a CX basis, and what are they expecting of their outsourced partners? What do they want the outsourcer to bring to the table in that regard?
Yeah, you know what? We've heard a lot about it, right? Analytics is the key to a lot of our success, actually, because it gives us an objective overview of everything that's going on at the training level, at the agent level, at the supervisor level. It really allows us the viewpoint that we need to affect change amongst all of those individuals, and see if a trainer's team that comes out, that agent group, its performance, is it reflecting on the trainer, is it reflecting on the training material? It goes as far as deep into comparing our stats and our organization against other organizations, and it's a fair playing ground. We're all it's very apples to apples situation. So to us, Data is the key to actually having performance and improvements and just overall insight to our business. And that's exactly what our clients are looking for.
Great stuff. Ray, can you talk a little bit about the KM Squared Solutions analytical capabilities from a technology standpoint?
Yeah, well, we capture everything. We measure everything, as Lisa said. And part of the issue with that is you drowned people in information. And so summarizing the stuff, dashboarding things, and really getting concise, actionable, timely information is really the critical piece. Weeding out all of the mountain of information into data sets that really give people day-to-day actionable information. We're a Power BI shop. We're pretty heavy on the Microsoft side. And we stuff all of this stuff in data warehouses and develop the dashboards that are relevant for the particular job functions to be able to action on. It gets back to this holistic environment. You've got to drive information through recruiting to get the right people in, coordinate that with the training classes, get people out on the floor as they're coming up to speed to be able to coach and measure, and all of that's driven off the metrics. Where are they falling short? What's the remedy that person needs to get up to speed, and delivering that coaching and adjustments to the programs in a timely manner is all the dollars and cents that are important to our customers.
No, it's very true. And we're coming up to the end of our webinar today, and thank you both. This has been some tremendous insight, and I want to finish off on a topic that I personally find quite fascinating, and I do know that this is shared by a large number of outsourcing executives as well as enterprise contact center buyers, and that relates to advanced technologies. One of the big buzz expressions or buzzwords that we've been hearing the past couple of years is AI, artificial intelligence, and I think that if we were to go to 100 different people in the industry and ask them what that means, you get 100 different definitions. But for the purposes of our discussion today, it'd be good to throw some clarity and shed some light on AI and what AI actually means. And I'd be curious, maybe Lisa, to start with you, if you could talk a little bit about KM Squared Solutions and how it's looking to implement, or what it's looking to do around artificial intelligence going into 2021, and how this is going to impact the experience of the end consumer.
Yeah, we're always, as an organization, we're always looking for the next best thing, the nice shiny toy out there, right? But a lot of our clients have looked at it and realized, maybe it's not quite ready for us, or, that type of thing. But we're always in the market. We're always looking. We're always seeing what the next best thing is. And we're always making suggestions back to our clients and saying, hey, this might help us in this area. This could help in this area. And we work very closely with them. But many times, what we're going to implement, what we're going to use, is really what our client wants to use and do. And again, I don't know if a lot of them are really out there looking to add or implement new stuff like this right now. I think a lot of it is a lot of good conversation, extremely exciting and interesting stuff. But I just don't know if it's really applicable to a lot of our client business at right now today.
Ray, from your experience and from what you've been looking at as a career technologist, can you maybe try and provide a little bit of an idea about where artificial intelligence might be a nebulous concept from a CX perspective, and when does the rubber actually hit the road with it?
So, as we mentioned earlier, the dynamic on how people interact with technology is changing. And I see a big shift in what the call center's role is here. And everything the customer comes to us is typically deals with some kind of transaction, whether it's a call, an email, a chat session. The customer's got some challenge that they're trying to get some assistance with. And kind of the holy grail with AI and RPA and all of these things is, how can I reduce the cost of this transaction? How can I provide better service to the customer, like providing a self-servicing option for this? And how can I empower an agent to have more information at hand to assist that customer? So we look at all of those facets with our customers, and this might be simple things like self-servicing appointment settings, or maybe filing a claim on your a car insurance accident, or an accident or something. We see tools coming with this every day, and I think from the BPO perspective, one of the big things is how AI gets applied to providing better information to agents, or automating some of those functions that a system can evaluate. So maybe things that would get kicked to a supervisor previously, the system can make that decision and move that situation along quicker. There's a lot of things that are now pointing towards discovering opportunities for automation and so forth automatically. So the field's wide open here and changing rapidly.
Great stuff. Well, we've come to the end of our formal question segment. And again, thanks to you both. It's been really exciting to hear your views, especially as we're going into 2021, where I think that we can all agree there's an amount of trepidation, but certainly optimism as well, as we are hoping for a return to somewhat of a new normal. But we did have a question come in from Lauren, who is curious if perhaps you could provide some ideas about how KM2 Solutions considers itself to be a differentiated outsourcer from a technology perspective. So Ray, I'll start with you. What would you see as the main differentiators KM2 can bring to the table from a technology angle?
So, as I said before, we listen, and we'll find the right solution for the situation that you're dealing with. We offer a full omnichannel capability, so whatever the vehicle that you need to communicate with us, and certainly in our realm as well. The footprint that we operate in, we've invested tremendously in our infrastructure backbone that really gives in a nearshore, offshore environment, a domestic experience here. And I think that's important, that as you extend your brand to us to assist with things, you're going to have the same experience that you have with a domestic partner.
Great. Thank you very much. Lisa, as somebody who has been in the industry for a number of years, but is a recent joiner in the last year and a half to KM2, where do you see some of the differentiators coming out that you've been a part of over the course of the past 18 months or so relative to what else is in the market?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the biggest difference I've seen so far as I've joined this organization, and I'm extremely excited to talk about this, is that, they care. There's a heart with this business. It's not a number. Clients don't come in and we look at you as, okay, well, that's X amount of chairs. It's literally a family business. It's really ultimately everyone cares about everyone. We have all of our countries, all the people, we get to know them. We work with every single one of them every single day. Before all the travel restrictions, we were actually in sites with our clients. So, it's really, that's the biggest differentiator, is our people. Technology, you can have the same kinds of technology all over the place. But the way the teams work together, I think, is a huge impactful difference as well, is that I have an extremely great relationship with the management teams that I work with. Ray, he picks up my call every single time I call. It could be 2:00 in the morning. He's like, well, tell me what's going on. So, I mean, it's literally everybody owns what their piece of it is, but we all really support each other in a very positive way. So it's really super great place to work.
That's fantastic. Well, look, thank you very much to both of you for your time today. We truly appreciate it. And thanks very much to everybody who took the time, wherever you are in the world, to join our webinar. It's greatly appreciated once again. If anybody has any further questions or comments in regards to what's happening, certainly feel free to get in touch with Ray or with Lisa or myself. We're all available on LinkedIn. We'd love to hear any questions, any queries, or any general feedback about what you heard today. In the meantime, let me wish everybody a very happy holiday season. Let me again express, I hope that we all stay safe, we all stay secure, and looking forward to an amazing 2021.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All the best. Bye-bye.